Hi, I'm Cynthia Cortman-Westphal, a Broadway music director, voice coach, and tenured professor in the musical theater department at the University of Michigan.
And I'm Chelsea Wilson, a performer turned voice teacher to Broadway stars and vocal coach on Broadway productions like The Phantom of the Opera, School of Rock, and more.
Here on the Broadway Vocal Coach podcast, you can expect real talk about the business, practical advice, and constant encouragement.
We believe there's space for every artist in this industry. All you need is the right support. So consider us your two-woman hype team. Welcome to the Broadway Vocal Coach podcast, where we help musical theater performers get unstuck and take the next step in their careers.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Broadway Vocal Coach podcast. Today, I am coming to you solo. This is Cynthia, by the way. Hi. Chelsea is about to have her baby literally any minute now. So that is why I'm flying solo today, because we are just waiting minute to minute for this new baby to arrive. By the time this podcast airs, the baby will be here. We'll know the name of this beautiful baby, all the things. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. So anyway, today, just me. And we're going to talk about a thing that is not really anything new for all y'all actors out there. And maybe you're even going to wonder why the heck we are doing an entire podcast about this. But my experience is that even though everyone seems to know this is a thing and we all need to do it, it's kind of amazing how often I need to remind people to do it or help them figure out how to do it more specifically. So it's just kind of one of those things that I feel like actors and all of us need constant reminders about. So that is why we're doing an entire podcast episode on this topic, which is the moment before. Yes, my friends, we are talking about the moment before, this moment during the introduction, just before you sing, that propels you into your song, makes it so that you have to sing your song. And it's hard. It seems so easy, but the fact that we work with actors on this literally all the time tells me it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do. And like I said, we all need reminders to do it. So today we're going to talk about it. And I'm going to try to give you some tips of how to find more specificity in your moment before, hopefully make it a little more fun. So let's get into it. One of the reasons I think that actors sometimes just forget their moment before, even though they know they should do it, and even though maybe they've really worked it out in advance, is that when it comes to being in the room of an audition, there's just so much to think about. You're already thinking about your acting beats and your given circumstances. You're probably also thinking about what you had to wear and put on that morning, your shoes. You're thinking about where your audition is, what, subway you have to get on to get down to where you got to go, how long you're going to have to wait. How are you feeling? Did you sleep well that night? Maybe you're feeling a little scratchy in your voice. You're wondering who's in the room. You're thinking about what happened the night before. You're thinking, oh gosh, I should be more hydrated. And then you're thinking, oh gosh, then I'm going to have to pee when I get in the room. Our brains go, a little bit chaotic sometimes when we're in these kind of nervous situations. And when you're thinking about so many things, sometimes these little crucial pieces go out the window. Like, what is your moment before? And getting very clear on that. It's like you got to calm down the chaos in your brain in order to really get that moment before clear right before you sing. I think there's a lot of reasons why it is hard to make your moment before really clear in an audition room or in a self-tape, because there are just so many other things to think about. So this is my encouragement to you, that no matter what is going on in an audition room or how difficult it is and how much of a pain in the butt it is to set up your self-tape equipment, to try to take a moment before your moment before. So take a breath before your moment before and remind yourself that is going to be sort of this grounding thing that is going to propel you into your song. So let's get into what a moment before is, for those of you who don't know, or for those of you who just need a little, reminder and inspiration of why we care. So I'm sure you've all heard this old saying, which is, when you can no longer speak, you sing. We say that a lot in musical theater. Like, when something becomes so important that talking no longer suffices, we're going to sing about it. or, when something has reached such an emotionally heightened place that talking just isn't going to cut it anymore, we have to break into song. So, to some extent, we're already stretching believability by the fact that we're about to break into song. And one of our main jobs as actors is to create a believable and a compelling, clear story and to effectively communicate that story. So the fact that we're going to break into song already is stretching the limits of believability. So one of the things that can really help in terms of creating a believable moment when you're about to sing is to have this moment before. What just happened that is so impactful that it no longer makes sense to just talk about it? I'm going to need to sing about it. It's such a big deal that I need to sing about it. And that's why I think this moment before is so crucial in musical theater, because it is going to help make sense of you about to break into song. So I think of this like a heartbeat or like a breath that precedes the song. It's that moment that kind of holds the potential to really make or break this believable moment in an audition room. And you want to just spin magic with this moment so that before you even sing a note, your audience or those folks behind the table or, the people on the other side of that video screen from you who are going to watch your video is already engaged before you've even sung, and that they are wondering, oh my gosh, what just happened? I can tell something just happened. I wonder what it is. Oh, yay, they're about to sing about it and tell me. So we want people to be able to tell that something just happened so that they're ready to really lean into the rest of the story. And if you don't have this crystal clear moment right before, the song is going to feel a little unconnected. It's going to feel a little unmotivated, or it just might not feel urgent, not crucial, not necessary for you to sing right in this moment. We've got to work a little bit harder to make it make sense that we are about to sing. I'm sure we've said this on the podcast before. In audition settings, I think it's pretty safe to assume everyone's going to be able to sing. Everyone in the audition room is going to sing pretty well. They're all going to walk in and sing pretty well, or they're going to make a self-tape where it shows that they sing pretty well. So there's just such a compelling magic about an actor who has this really strong moment before, because if everyone's going to sing pretty well, then what's going to really make the difference when people are looking at a tape or when casting folks are looking at the people coming in a room? And I think when you have these compelling storytellers that are already telling a story before they even sing, it's just so powerful. And, I would say it's what really defines musical theater. It's the storytelling aspect, because if everybody can sing fine, great. But musical theater is not just about singing. Musical theater is defined by the storytelling. So that to me is why this moment before, I might even argue, is more crucial than the singing at the end of the day. Like if you come in and you've got, allergies and you were up all night and your voice is not at 100%, if your moment before is clear as a bell and really exciting and really compelling, so much of that singing is going to be forgiven or understood that, oh, I can tell this person isn't at 100%, but oh my gosh, their storytelling is amazing and so clear and so exciting. Musical theater, folks, storytelling, it's all about the storytelling. So the goal with your moment before is to really effectively create and communicate a believable story. I want to give you a few ways that you can think about creating a moment before. And if you are near a pencil and paper or the notes app on your phone, write these down, because I'm going to give you some phrases that to me really help me in terms of trying to craft and create a moment before to make it believable that I need to sing. So here's your list: a match strike, a seismic shift, a gut punch, a reality check, a lightning strike, a game changer, a curveball. These are all little phrases that I use to try to figure out a way to create a really believable moment before. And what I think all these have in common is they all have some element of discovery or urgency or surprise. They've all got serious drama. And they all really activate a response. In other words, they're all going to propel you to have to sing. So when you start thinking about your moment before, think about what your particular song needs to really launch it into the music. Is it like a gut punch? Something like your significant other just told you that they're leaving you. That feels like, oh my gosh, a gut punch. I'm going to sing about it now. Or is it like a lightning strike? Like maybe it's love at first sight. Or is it a discovery that is such a game changer, or a curveball that what you thought was true, now something completely different has just come to light and it's a game changer? I'll say these words one more time: match strike, the seismic shift, the gut punch, a reality check, a lightning strike, game changer, curveball. I love all of these to help get me into a moment before. So you see what I'm getting at here. Let's get into now a little bit more of the nitty gritty on what we can do. We've got these phrases of like the vibe we're going for. Now, how do we actually make this happen? So, first, if you know the material you are singing from, do your research. Y'all know this already, but here's the thing. If you do your research and actually find out what just happened before your song, usually our playwrights in musical theater are really, really good. They write really compelling stories. So whatever just happened before the song is probably going to be a great moment before. And you would be shocked how often people don't know what actually happened in the show the moment before their song, because maybe they've extracted a song. They don't know the whole show that it's from. They just know that song. And so they don't know literally what happened before. What is the reason for the song being in the show in the first place? I encounter a lot of folks who will use Wikipedia to try to do the research on the show and the song. And the thing with that is it's not going to give you the detail. You're going to have a sense of where the song lands in the show, but it's not going to give you the match strike. It's not going to give you the gut punch. It's going to give you like a general idea of where that song lies in the show. So if you are able to actually get your hands on the script or talk to someone who knows that show really well, I highly recommend do your research, because probably the actual script is going to give you really, really good stuff. If you can't get your hand on the script, there's a lot of shows right now that are based on movies. Watch the movie, try to figure out exactly what just happened before your song is sung. And take note of even what is the actual cue line before the song, because that can actually be really helpful. So number one is do your research. Now, if you are singing something that you don't know the background of, like maybe you got some sides for an audition that's for a brand new show, we don't have access to the script yet, we don't know what it's about yet, that's okay. That's going to happen, and that's totally okay. Sometimes you might not be able to get your hands on the script if there is one. Sometimes there's not enough time. Let's be honest. Sometimes an audition comes up fast and you just don't have time to do the level of research that would be most helpful. So at that point, that's okay. Y'all are actors. You're all creative and imaginative. And so make it up. High stakes, really dramatic, something with conflict or a surprise element to it. The moment before doesn't necessarily have to be exactly in the story of what you're about to sing. It can have the vibe of it. You know what I mean? So like, let's say you have something like The Wizard and I. The first line of that song is, did that really just happen? So like your moment before could be anything that is a shocker to you, anything that's like a match strike or a lightning strike, a seismic shift. Those would all work really well for The Wizard and I. So if your first line is, did that really just happen? It could be like, did I honestly just win the lottery? Did I just book my first Broadway show? Did someone just hand me a puppy? It could be anything that helps get into the mindset of what that character is going through, even if it's not the exact same story. So here are some other ways that you can think about communicating that moment before. So of course, do your research. And if you're not able to do actual research for whatever reason, try to come up with a scenario that's going to work for you. And then here are some ways to think about how you're going to communicate that before you sing. So number one, give yourself a cue line. And ideally, give yourself a cue line with a scene partner. So imagine if you had a scene partner and they are talking to you, what could they say to you that would make you have to launch into your song? Ideally, you want to have some kind of conflict or discovery to that cue line. It could be something as simple as, I'm leaving you. That's the cue line. That's what they say to you. And that makes you have to sing your song. It could be something like, will you marry me? That's the line you're going to imagine happening during your introduction that propels you into song. And ideally, it's something that's, like I said, a surprise, a discovery, or a conflict. A conflict could be something like, it's never going to happen, or you are out of your mind. Something that makes you go, no, I'm not. And here's why. And now you're going to sing your song. So you're just going to imagine that cue line being said to you during your introduction and then react to it. And that's going to propel you into singing. So here's another way you can do it. You can simply visualize a situation. I think that imagery can be really powerful. So imagine opening the door to your apartment and realizing that your partner moved out. That's such a great example of like a gut punch. You could imagine clicking open the email that has a contract offer from your agent for your dream show. Maybe you walk into a coffee shop and have that lightning bolt seeing someone that you're like, love at first sight. That's the person I'm going to marry. I also like things like hatching a plan. Like you're thinking about a plan and then it's like, I've got it. I know what I'm going to do. So visualizing a situation can be really powerful, just like having a cue line. What I would say about when you visualize a situation or with a cue line is get as specific as you can. Let's take, opening the door to your apartment and realizing that your partner moved out. Visualize that apartment. Like, do you have to walk down the hallway first before you get into the living room to see that things have been moved out? Or did you have to like walk down the hallway, turn the corner and get to the bedroom to realize the closet is empty? Or was there a note that they left on the table in the entryway? Come up with really juicy little details, like were their shoes always at the front door or their slippers were always at the front door and they're not there? Like, what's the thing that's going to be a really juicy and clear visual? And, what's on the walls? Where are the windows? What are your views? Is it cold out that day? Are you wearing a jacket or did you come back from jogging? Like, just make yourself a really juicy backstory so that when you visualize a situation, whether it's with a cue line or just literally with some imagery, that you've got a really rich story already happening before you start to sing. And third, this one's kind of fun. This is like a shortcut version of the other two. I like this for when it's kind of in a pinch, you don't have a lot of time, but you need something that is going to be really active and get you going immediately. And I call this an attitude with a hook. I will say it works really well when you have done all your research and you have done some really good image work and all of that. But it also works well when you haven't had time to do a thing because it just kind of distills it down to a really pithy, catchy little hook that's going to get you into the attitude of your song in a really clear way, really fast. So these are things like, let's go, or like, bring it on. Are you kidding me? That's one of my favorites. Or get out. The opposite would be please stay. Or like, how dare you? Or just a really simple like, yes. So all of these are simple one-liners, really short, a quick little hook that just propels you into whatever it is. So let's say we're back to the Wizard and I. Maybe it could be something as simple as the let's go, like, let's go. Did that really just happen? Or maybe let's go a little more golden agey, a little more ballady, like it's a quiet thing. Maybe it's just a simple, wow, when it all comes true just the way you planned. So what I love about the attitude with a hook, just saying the words, let's go, kind of instantly puts your body and your brain and your spirit into something very specific. Like we all kind of know what that feeling is of let's go. And so it's just a really easy way to launch into a song and make it seem like something just happened and you're reacting to that. So I like the attitude with a hook or the hook with an attitude as a really quick shortcut version of a launch. So you've now got 3 ways to thinking about finding your moment before. You've got the cue line, you've got the visualizing of the situation, and you've got the hook with an attitude. But I want to give you one more bonus feature for all of these things, and that is to think about your physicality. So sometimes we get a lot of face acting, which I'm not against. There's a lot that goes on in our face. But there's so much more to us as human beings than just our face. And in auditions, I really find it to be so limiting when people forget that they have this entire body that can be used as an instrument of communication and not just their face. And sometimes it'll be like eyebrows, a lot of eyebrow acting. But like you have this incredible instrument. Your entire body is such a beautiful instrument of communication. So I would really encourage you to try this as an exercise when you're crafting your moment before. So let's say you're using a cue line. When you hear that cue line, let yourself react physically and make yourself do it really dramatically in 3 different ways. So this is going to be kind of like super over the top, dramatic, bad acting as an exercise. So let's say that you're launching into your song with a cue line that's like a gut punch. So someone says to you, I'm leaving, it's over. Let yourself physicalize, like, what does it actually feel like to be kicked in the gut? Physicalize it. Let your body literally double over in pain. Grab your head. Oh, no. Let it be really dramatic. And then do it 3 different ways. So one is a gut punch. Maybe you try a cue line that's more of a match strike. Maybe you try one that's some kind of a discovery, like a game changer. Maybe you literally jump for joy, like reach out your arms, jump up and down, fist pump the air. Do something that physicalizes this feeling at an 11. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, do it at an 11. Big gestures. You can walk around, you can pivot, you can kick, slash, throw your hands in the air, jump up and down. Just be totally uncensored and wildly big. And then once you've done that at least 3 times in 3 different ways, start to pay attention to what feels quote unquote right for your song or for your character. Like, what of those starts to feel like, yeah, it really is this versus that? Some characters do have really big, bold physicalities. Like a Persephone might have just some really bold movement in her moment before. Others don't. Like maybe a Jenna doesn't have that level of bold physicality. So it's kind of determining too, what does your character need? Are they a big physical presence or not? Are they keeping something bottled in or are they releasing something? So when you start to do an exercise like this and you do it really, really big and bold, you start to feel like, okay, yes, it's exactly like this, only totally bottled up. Or yes, it's actually literally like this. This character would actually like fist pump in the air before singing their song. As you do this more and more, your body won't lie. Your body's going to tell you what sort of feels right for that character and what feels a little inauthentic. And so I encourage you to just dare to make the biggest, boldest physical choices with your moment before, just as an exercise, so that you're able to then make a really intentional physical choice, whether it's going to be small and contained or whether it's going to be big and dramatic. You'll have experienced what that's really feeling like, and you're going to feel a lot more confident kind of engaging your whole body into your moment before so that it's not just about your face or your eyebrows. I hope this gives you some inspiration for leveling up your moment before. I really believe a really specific, powerful moment before seriously will transform your self tapes and your in person auditions. Even if you're already doing your moment before, take a moment to make sure you're doing your moment before as specifically and as intentionally as you think you are, because probably you can notch it up a little bit. So I'm going to leave you with one last tip. This kind of practice, and I do call this practice, I think we often think that practice means we're singing, but listen, in musical theater, there are so many other components to it that practice is not always just the singing portion of it. So This is something you can practice when you're on the subway or the bus, or when you're in your car, or when you're waiting in line at the coffee shop. It's a perfect kind of silent practice because so much of it is imagination. Like, imagine 3 different cue lines, imagine 3 different scenarios that you could use with imagery, and try to come up with some of those fun hooks with attitude. And just spend some time thinking about that, thinking about a really clear moment before. That is excellent practice, y'all. I think that is some of the best practice you can do, because if you don't take the time to really do it, it'll never be quite fleshed out the way that you want it to be. So anytime you've got a few minutes where you're just hanging out and waiting on something, I encourage you to put the phone in the pocket and instead get really imaginative with your moment before. And if your song has gotten just a little stale for you, try coming up with a new moment before and see if that doesn't breathe a whole bunch of new life into a song that might have felt a little tired. I think it's a great way. It's like adding a fabulous new accessory to something you've been wearing that all of a sudden it's a brand new outfit. All right, my friends, I hope these tips help. Here is to leveling up your moment before in 2024. I'll see you soon.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a screenshot wherever you're listening, share it on Instagram, tag us when you do at BWay Vocal Coach, share this episode with a friend who might enjoy it, and please leave us a review. We love to hear from you about what is resonating as you listen to the podcast. And if you're ready to take your next step, but you aren't entirely sure what that should be, then take our quiz. We'll strategize with you to outline a roadmap to your unique goals. Plus, from there, you can book a free consult and chat with us. Visit bwayvocalcoach.com/take the quiz. We can't wait to hear your story and help you take the next step in your career.